Hey guys, Greg here, Bone Tactical. Today I'm going to talk to you about knives or edged weapons, and we're going to answer the question of, does cost represent value in edged weapons or knives? Do you get what you pay for? Is the price that you pay for a knife a direct reflection of the value? Is the knife worth what you pay for it? In general, in edged weapons, in popular culture of knives today in America. Okay, that's what I'm going to talk to you about. I have here in front of me a representation of one of the current most popular makers. This is a collector's edition knife from Blade Show Atlanta, the biggest knife show in the world this past year. I was at Blade Show. I'll talk about my Blade Show experience. I'll talk about what people are looking for, what's popular, why it's popular, and if it's a representation of the value, if you get what you pay for today in America's knife culture. This is a Microtech, okay? Let's just get right into this. This is one of the most popular knives on the market. This is a Microtech OTF. It comes in this fancy box, all right? People were standing in line. They sold, in my estimations, probably about $1 million in cash of these knives at the Blade Show. So it's a very simple design. It's an aluminum box with a push button, and it's what they call an OTF knife, okay, out the front, automatic knife, all right? So let me talk a little bit about culture as well as this knife. So at Blade Show, this was extremely popular, Microtech. I had a table, okay, and next to me there was an authorized dealer. I don't even know if he was an authorized dealer, actually. He had a bunch of these knives, and he was wheeling and dealing and trading. And these guys were coming up and paying, this knife I think was $200. They were paying $300 for the same knife. They were paying, up to $1,400. I think there was one that was even $14,000 that had some pearl inlays and, some titaniums and some weird colors. Yeah, that's right, $14,000 I believe he sold the most expensive one. So now this being Microtech, let me talk about this being one of the most popular knives. What I saw at Blade Show, the culture was kind of like what you see with, Michael Jordan's shoes. That's the best thing that I can give you guys a representation of it. You've got these guys running around collecting Jordan sneakers. They're basketball shoes, right? Are they good for basketball? No, they're not good for basketball. We all know that. What do they do with them? They buy them, and some of these guys put like a shrink wrap on them. They put them in their house. They take pictures and post it on social media. It's the exact same thing with Microtech knives, okay? And I'm using this Microtech because it was just a prime example. I'm not picking on Microtech. Let me first, before I even get into talking about this knife, let me go ahead and talk about the good stuff about this knife. The fit and finish is good, okay? The fit and finish is good. The construction and the materials used are good, okay? So I'm not bashing Microtech at all. Is the knife worth $200? Absolutely not. The design of the knife itself is absolutely terrible. Okay, just a terrible design. It's basically just a rectangular box here. Very little. It's got a couple things on here that are supposed to act like grip, but if you really had to use this thing, your hand's going to slip up onto the blade here, and you're going to cut yourself, or you're going to stab into something hard, and you're going to lose the knife if you had to use it. So as an edged weapon, which is what it's designed for, the design kind of fails miserably. Let me compare it to my most comparable knife that I make, okay? Here is the Bone Tactical Knife and Tool EDC Throwaway. Okay, guys, this is $35. I do specials every once in a while. You can get them for $30. You can get different prices on these guys. But let me compare these two just to show you how similar these are, okay? Very similar knife. Which one is faster to access? This one. This is much faster. You don't have to open it. All you gotta do is grab it and it's ready to go. Okay, that's fine. Maybe you want to keep your knife clipped in your pocket so everybody can see it. This would be the better option. That's a negative as a weapon, of course, but okay. I can respect that. Let's talk about blade length. All right, I'm holding them blade to blade next to each other right now, and the Microtech is about a 1/4 inch longer, so pretty much negligible. it's sharp on both sides. This is sharp on both sides. The blade is pretty much the same for all intents and purposes, except with the Microtech, it's not really truly sharpened all the way. It's got a 3/4 on one side, which is just for looks. You can't use this really for bushcraft. You're not going to hammer on that side. It really should be a double-sided blade, and it's not. But it's most of the way double-sided. If you look at the handle now, let's talk about the handle, okay? The handle here, it's very important that you have these big cutouts right here. Fully ambidextrous, okay? I don't have to worry about fiddling with the thumb switch to open this. Fully ambidextrous, so I can flip it around in my hand, use it in reverse grip or forward grip. I can control it by those two indents. It's very important that you have those two indents on a knife so you can, I'm not looking at the knife and I know exactly where it is in my hand. That knife, because of that very large indentation right here, okay, it's not going anywhere. All right, what you have here is a way to control the knife, a way to keep the knife balanced, a way to access the knife without looking at it. All of those things are very important. When you have a knife like this, it just slips, it'll slip in and out of the hand. Even though this is longer, the handle is much longer, these are actually about the same size. Okay, that's crazy that this is so long that it doesn't need to be that long. All right, it just needs to be a better design. But let's talk about why somebody can charge $200 for a knife like this. Why they can, all right, and that's back to the Jordan sneaker thing. It's what's popular. It's what people have heard of. It's marketing. Microtech does a great job with marketing. They do amazing marketing, and like I said, I'm not bashing Microtech. If they improved their designs a little bit, they would have some incredible, incredible knives, okay? The downside to an OTF would be that if you carry it every day, this little hole right there, I don't know if you can see the hole in the end, felt and lint and stuff from your pocket gets in there, it jams up, and then you actually don't have a knife when you think you have a knife, so they're a little bit dangerous to carry for that purpose and reason. They could put either a brush filter in there or like a rubber filter to keep stuff from getting in there would be helpful if they worked on something like that. Microtech, if you're watching this, you're welcome. If you need a better design guy, we can hit me up. We can collaborate. I could really help you guys out a lot. I'm not extremely expensive. I'd be willing to help you out. You've obviously got the money. You're selling a lot of knives. Step your game up, okay? And I really want to say also that I'm sharing this video, not bashing anybody. It was really hurtful to me. It hurt to see the state of affairs of the knife community at Blade Show. It kind of hurt that guys that were the real makers, the real designers, the real innovators were kind of at the bottom of the barrel, or this one particular guy was doing so well, and he was kind of known for making shoddy stuff, and the other guy does really good stuff, that looking at some of his stuff and nobody's heard of him. It's kind of a free-for-all, guys. And I think we need to take a step back and get away from that, Jordan shoes, from the fancy, from what's popular, and really take a look at if cost is, relative to this is not a Rolex watch, okay? It's not, they treat it as if it's a collectible item. And I think that that's cool, but I think, and I can only give my opinion as well, as the knife maker who makes the most effective edged weapons in the world, I can only talk about knives from an effective point. Okay, so if this has some intrinsic collector's value that I don't see, if it was if you could liken it to gold or diamonds or something like that, maybe that's something that I'm not aware of or familiar with. So comment below and correct me. Let me know why that some knives have they're not reflected of how well they work or how good of a weapon they are or how good they are at being used for their intended purpose. Why something is worth what it's worth just because maybe somebody says so. So if you guys know something I don't, comment below, let me know. Otherwise, I'll continue on. A lot of what I saw some really good foreign knife makers. Met a bunch of guys from France. Check out my Instagram. There's a guy that made just some really incredible, beautiful, big, large knives. I've got one of his friction folders, just beautiful knives. He's charging really fair prices from what I saw. And if you guys want to see that, comment below, and I'll bring his friction folder in and do a review on that and talk about that. That brings me up to the next point of talking about custom versus production knives. Both of these are production knives, okay? They were both made pretty much the same way. This is made mostly on a machine, and then the final edge is put on there by hand. This is also made mostly on a machine, and the final edge is put on there by hand. $35, okay? $250, $300, depending on where you get it from. $35, $300. This is faster to access, more effective, more modular. It can be more easily concealed. It's easier to carry. It's more reliable. So pretty much better in every way than this. And I'm not bashing Microtech. We're just talking the ins and outs here of knives. It could be any company. And let me again cut back in and praise Microtech. Microtech is the top of the OTF game, guys, and OTF knives are really cool. I think this is cool. It's so cool to just be able to pull this out of your pocket and, it's cool. It's tactical. And I don't really get into a huge amount of the tactical stuff, but I do appreciate, having a switchblade type knife, even though it's an OTF. You guys will know what I mean when I say switchblade. An automatic knife, okay? An automatic knife is cool. There's a cool, man thing about it where it's just cool to have something like that. You guys understand what I'm saying? But I think we need to get away from idolizing any one particular thing. Like, again, back to the Jordan shoe thing. If a name is just a name, there are some other guys supposedly making, really good OTF knives at a cheaper price, maybe half the price. I know that production cost, on a $14,000 Microtech is, probably cost $50 or $100 to make. They want to charge $14,000. I understand if it's a custom knife and it's handmade 100%, understandable. But I think there needs to be a little bit more room in the knife community. I think we need to allow a little bit more room for capitalism, and that's how things improve. And I'll give a good example. Microtech did a collaboration recently on a karambit with a French designer, Bastinelli, who we've met, we've talked. He seems like a really cool guy. I've met him a few times in person, like I said, chatted about his designs and stuff. I think Bastinelli's a great maker. He's got a lot of respect, in my opinion. I respect him a lot as a fellow knife maker. And I think probably the most effective knife that I've seen Microtech make recently was the collaboration they did with him. So I think that's a great thing that Microtech is reaching out to talk to people who actually know what they're doing as far as edged weapons go in the design aspect of it. So they are reaching out and finally starting to improve their design aspect a little bit. Let's cut back now and talk just about, answer the question, okay? Does the price you pay for a knife represent the value? Is it a direct representation? Is our knives today worth what you pay for them? Imperatively, no. Absolutely not. Knives today are not worth what you pay for them, okay? They're not. They're just not. Knives today are not worth what you pay for them. Why is that? It's because people basically sell for what they think they can sell for, or they sell for actually what they can sell for. So you've got a Microtech selling a knife that's selling because it's cool, and it is cool, and it's selling because it's got some kind of intrinsic collector value to collectors, but it's not selling based only off of the effectiveness. And that's something that we're seeing all across the board now, and it's actually beginning to hurt us as a knife community. So I want to reach out to you guys and kind of try and promote and push a little bit what's effective, okay? So another example would be my self-defense tools. The bone breaker, bone opener, things, some of the, multi-tools, bottle openers, things that I make like that. They're the most effective. Point blank period, by far, hundreds of times more effective than anything else on the market. They changed the game forever. When I first came out with them, I didn't really understand why they weren't originally selling like hotcakes. And a big part of that I learned at Blade Show, and it was because these guys want fidget spinners. Okay, now we're going to move from the Jordan shoes to the fidget spinners, but it's the same idea. What is the use of a fidget spinner? Well, it has absolutely no use. Okay, so this is a fidget spinner of a knife. It's cool, but people are buying it for the cool factor. They want something to do. They want something to spin in their hand, to play with. So I think we need to get away from that, as far as we need to get away from the fidget spinner mentality. Now that my tools look cool, you know, I've got the bone breakers and bone openers with the stainless steel stone washed finish. I've got the aluminum versions with the, I'll show you guys actually. I've got the aluminum anodized collector's edition. So let me show you really quickly what I'm talking about. This is one of the reasons why value is not always represented in the knife community. This is what people want. This is an awesome, you know, handmade look. It's handmade, it's tumbled with stones, okay, hand ground, hand filed with a file, and these are great value, crazy price. There's nothing else handmade that you can get like that, okay? Goes without saying what the purpose of this is, okay, and how good it is at serving the purpose. It's huge, okay? This is the new big beast, all right? Super thick. You guys can see how thick that is there. Can you see? Comment below if you can see how thick that is. Crazy thick. All the new ones. This is the new serialized. So this is what people want, all right? And you can see that this knife and this are kind of very similar. They've got the beautiful finish. Microtech does a very good job with fit and finish. All right, it's got a beautiful finish. This is serialized, okay, 001 of 200. Only 200 of these will ever be made. So it's something similar, and that's what I learned that people want, is you got to hit that cool factor. But where Bone Tactical fits into their own niche is that we make the most effective edged weapons in the world. So now my weapons are pretty cool, and there's some cool factor stuff about them, and they're getting cooler and cooler as I learn what you guys want and recreate what you guys want. But I really honestly want to challenge you guys to consider, when you buy a knife, are you getting any more value for the money spent? And real intrinsic value is not something that's going to go in as a fad, okay? And I think Jordan shoes, fidget spinners, all the things we've talked about are going to be fads, or are fads. And when they phase out, they lose their value, okay? And it's just going to be over. But something that's useful, the most effective edged weapons and tools in the world will never lose their value. They'll only go up in value forever because they're effective. Especially the fact that they're the most effective in the world. And I make small batch stuff that's collector's edition. I only make a little bit of them, make a few of them, and then never make them again. I make almost everything by hand. All right, so consider the cool factor. Consider what you're paying for and why. If it's a custom knife, that's fine. Pay a bunch of money for it. It's something special. It's custom. There's some amazing custom knife makers out there. Amazing. Okay? If it's a production knife, be aware of whether you're paying for a name or whether you're actually getting value for your money. So just be aware of that. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm glad I got an opportunity to explain to you. I'm glad you guys were asking about why some knives are very expensive and others are not. So this is why. This is pretty much why. The biggest real thing is if it's handmade or some sort of a collector's edition or something like that, it really needs to be handmade. A handmade collector's edition, or honestly, you know, true small batch made, something that's very effective. Okay, if you're getting what you pay for on that front, that's great. That's fine. Just be careful about buying into fads that are just really boosted, or here today, gone tomorrow type things. And to answer the final question, no. Again, no. Knives are not always a representation of what you're paying for what you get. That's just not the case always. And with Bone Tactical, it definitely is. With Microtech, again, I'm going to close out with saying that I'm not bashing them at all. They make a very well-made knife. The fit and finish is good. The cool factor is way up there. And, you know, I'd like to say that I'm not in any way associated with Microtech. I just saw them at Blade Show. They were you know, very popular. They do a great job with marketing. They caused a big ruckus on their you know, buy one of these deal or whatever it is. So, you know, hats off to Microtech. They're doing extremely well in the edged weapon community. They're doing it right because they, you know, have commitment to the attention to detail. I really appreciate that. And really, any other questions or comments that you guys have, let me know. I'm going to sign off here with comment below what you want to see in the next video and what you want me to talk about. Bone out.